It's our fair part show. It's our fair part show. It's our fair part show. It's our fair part show.
Well, another day, another off-air podcast without Liam. Third day in a row. Can you believe it?
He took this one just because he could.
Yeah! Stitch up. I'm back.
You actually just out of the studio grabbing your water.
Yeah, I was just grabbing my water. It was a trick. It was a trick Ben played on you. But tell you what, guys, good to be back. Good to be back in the saddle after my content retrieval trip.
Yep.
All strictly business. So, yeah, I didn't get to have that much fun because it was just like mainly work.
I respect that.
Yeah, just a lot of work. I'm a workhorse. That's what
Before
I am.
we get to the content retrieval, quickly, I mean, I know that you do enjoy it because you've already said it off-air, but off-air, how good are these screens behind us? The Master
Yes,
Food.
Master Foods. I heard you talking about them the other day. I listened to the podcast on the plane home from the UK.
Fan.
And yeah, big fan of you guys, what you do. I found it funny how the dynamic doesn't change. Like it was still...
What do you mean?
Well, it was just
Us
funny.
giving you shit?
Just
No.
just Ben shutting you down
Oh.
sort of thing. Like,
She
Yeah.
did text me.
yeah, I found that. I laughed so much when you're like, you were like, oh, well, I'm with my family. That's a special time. I don't have my phone on me. That really tickled me. I haven't heard yesterday's stuff yet.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was fun.
Well,
It was
we
a fun show.
missed you, but we're so happy you're back.
Yeah.
And I have so many. I just want to know everything.
Oh man, it's just I could talk for hours, but literally, genuinely, like an absolute dream come true.
Yeah.
So I think I didn't really talk
you-
about this trip much until I think we spoke about it on the off-air podcast just before because I hadn't even really agreed to do it until just before. And I know that sounds like, why wouldn't you agree to go see? But I didn't know how much stuff I would have to do. I was a little bit unsure of the details, put it that
Yeah.
way. So even when I was flying over, I didn't know who I was doing. Well, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who I was meeting
Imagine
there.
if you're being kidnapped.
It sort of felt like that. Like I knew I was meeting someone called Sam at the airport, and I didn't know if it was a girl or a guy. And
When
someone
you
waved-
got there or when you
Yeah.
were leaving?
when I got there. So I flew in and I was like, and he was like, what? Someone waved at me and I'm like, Sam? He was like, yeah. And then he picked me up,
And they
got
put
in
a
a car.
bag on your head and put you in the back of
Literally.
the van.
Sorry, just I want to pick up from there when we get back to this, but this is just a backward step.
Yeah.
When you mentioned you listened to the podcast, did you also hear the talkback that we did off the back of your voice message?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
and I specifically said, don't tell my wife, yes, what was better than your wedding day?
Yeah.
But I have literally said to Sarah, like, it was better than the wedding day, and she's like, that's so fair.
Yeah.
But
totally
it wasn't
fair.
as good as when I proposed, and she said yes. I think that day is
Yep.
still clear. That's still my favourite day.
Really?
Wedding, take it or leave it. Our
Mhm.
wedding flooded out. I'm happy to be married.
Mhm.
But this is firmly, second best day of my life seeing Liverpool win with fans in the stadium, first time in 35 years. So the trip was always going to be this weekend. I think when I was at Live Golf, I was sitting with you guys at Grilled, we're having lunch together, and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, I just got this email,
Yes.
Be in Sports or something. They were like, and I was like, I won't be able to do that because it's in Showtime. And originally I thought it was like a month because I think originally it was going to go to Real Madrid, go to all these. And I was like, you can't do that in one weekend. Like there would have to be multiple weekends.
Mm.
And then it became just this one game. And I don't know if you know how the league works in the UK, Bill, but it's not like in the AFL where it's like you win
I
the
do
premiership at the
now.
end. Well, yeah,
I
so
do.
it's sort of like
Christian's explained. He showed
just-
me a pyramid and
Well, yeah, you-
explained how it all works, and I don't know.
you got to sort of finish on top
yeah,
to win. But
yeah.
this was just like there's still like 4 or 5 games to go. But Liverpool just so clear that mathematically no one can. Maybe it is 6 games. I can't even remember now. It doesn't matter because we've won. So it's like who cares about the other games?
So they
But-
still play the season though, right?
yeah, they still play it out
to find
And so
out who finishes
They actually
where.
don't lift the trophy until the last game. That's like tradition. But they've won it now. So even if we lost all of our remaining games, no one would be able to catch us.
Yep.
So we're ahead.
Really sure of that though? Is there anything that could happen?
Absolutely not. There's no possible way. No way.
Okay.
It's just mathematically impossible. But because of that, so many things had to line up. So Liverpool lost a game to Fulham a few weeks before. And I was like, well, it's not going to be that game anymore. I was really upset. And then Arsenal just kept cooking it. They drew a couple of games in a row. And then Liverpool came through late with 2 late winners in the last couple of games. And so even when I was in the UK on the Wednesday, Arsenal played. And if they lost that game, then Liverpool would have won that night without even playing that game. So I was really hoping it just all worked out. And then, of course, we had to win the game that I was at.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it lined up perfectly. And then not to mention that Wrexham thing as well. I saw them get promoted. That's
Oh my God.
Ryan Reynolds' team.
That almost seemed like more wild than the Liverpool win. Like just the reaction
Liverpool
from the
was
fans.
definitely more wild, but Wrexham more fairy tale.
Yeah.
So to put it in perspective, there was 50,000 people in the stadium at Liverpool with 40,000 just around the grounds who didn't have tickets. Whereas Wrexham, there's only 12,000 people actually in the stadium. There's more people
It
around,
looks
but
small.
it's a smaller
Yeah,
club. It's a very
yeah.
small place. But that's never been done going up
Yes.
3 leagues, and now they're one below the Premier League.
Promoted.
Yeah, they've been promoted. So that
Yeah.
so
And if they go down,
Demoted.
relegated.
Ah,
He's
damn.
done it. Yeah, he gets it. But that it was funny as well because they're like, oh, we're not allowed to do a pitch invasion. Like they specifically told us we're not, and we're like, hey, can we just like turn the cameras off and do it?
Yeah.
And
Part of
we left our
the-
cameras off and we ran
Yeah.
on. So I was on the pitch and like
Oh,
held a flare and stuff.
I must admit, watching your stuff when
Yeah.
they all ran on, I
Yeah.
thought it was strange that you didn't
Yeah,
run on.
yeah,
No, because we weren't like you're not supposed to do it. I've
to.
got some photos and stuff. I can prove that I did the pitch invasion,
Honestly,
but
Liam,
it's so funny though because there was so many people that game. Like there was people before the whistle even blew. Like the people were like on the sidelines, like that. And there's a video I've got on my phone. You see the linesman as soon as the whistle blows. He runs like Usain Bolt to get off the field because all the referees and that just sprint
Yeah.
into the tunnel because they don't want to be caught in
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
And like it was just
What
that
do
was
you
just
do when you're on
bedlam.
the pitch? You just run around and
You
scream.
just like sort of like run around and like scream.
It looks,
and,
honestly, Liam, it looks like you had just an incredible few days.
yeah.
Made many friends. I saw you made a little soccer friend. I don't know who that is. I looked at his profile for a bit. I don't know.
Tom. Yeah. So Tom Harris he does like some videos as well, and he was like the guy. He was like the other guy that they sent. So he was on the same sort of deal as
that might be
me.
the case.
Where's
And
he
then-
from?
He's from Melbourne. He's actually from the same
Oh,
spot.
Aussie.
Yeah. He's an Aussie. Yeah.
Oh.
So we
It's going to be the Tom and Liam show soon.
no. So but
I don't feel too threatened by Tom. I must admit, I haven't met him in person. I'm sure
I
he's
was
a
just
lovely
like,
guy.
Liam's
There you
made
go.
a friend.
there I am on the pitch.
Yeah.
And then, but the
Bless.
crew, and so as I said, I didn't know who I was meeting there. So there was this guy, Sam, and he's from Leeds, and he was actually a big Liverpool fan as well. And then it was just like, there was a guy from Berlin, guy from Munich, guy from Melbourne, guy from Sydney, and we're all like under 30 and all football fans. And so like,
And so everyone was a fan of Liverpool specifically?
not specifically Liverpool, no, only two
They
of
were
us
just-
support
They
Liverpool.
were people who were big on socials and they like soccer.
No. So one is me and the other social guy. The rest were like producers and cameramen. So there was like 2
Ah,
cameramen
okay,
on us
sorry.
the whole time, and
Yep.
then there was 2.
Yeah, were you just being like ushered around constantly? But they're like,
Oh,
all
no,
right,
so
now
it was
we're
like
going
I
here,
did.
now we're
I
doing
was
this.
actually like doing stuff. So we went to the games, but also and it's like so I put some videos up, but like I like had to collab with. So that was like sort of what
Yeah.
I didn't get paid for it, but I got flown over and got all the
Yeah.
tickets and stuff. And then there's going to be like a big YouTube thing, which they've sort of like made like a proper sort of long form
Oh.
thing.
Like a doco thing? Like a
Yeah,
little,
it was just like a 20-minute sort of thing of like the whole experience. with all the
Sponsored by B&E.
No,
Bean, sorry.
not the chicken manufacturer or whatever it is. The
the meat manufacturer.
the meat distributor. No, BN Sports and
BN.
Prime Video. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So yeah.
Ben also says bean. He says
yeah,
bean
it's
sport.
BN.
Beans.
Bean.
But yeah, it was so funny as well because I got my fresh. You know how I got a tattoo years ago. Liverpool champions 2019. Didn't win that year. We won the following year. Ben fixed it up for me live freehand, and now the tattoo has been updated. I got it done in Liverpool like 2 days before the thing. I was quietly confident.
Oh,
And,
you got it done before?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have time after.
Well,
I
that's
thought
also
you
a
got it, like-
classic. That's a great gag because you get it done before and then they lose and then that's a great video
Yeah,
in
yeah,
itself.
Yeah. So like I got that done and like it was funny. The tattooist was like, he's like, I find it so funny how quick blokes can make friends. Like and it was like so true because it's like we'd like literally met each other and then by the second day we were like we're on this like it was like it
Well, you
wasn't
were just
really
having a
work.
lads trip. Like
Literally,
you
it
were honestly
was-
just on a boys trip.
It was
just
literally
like,
a boys trip.
Wow.
It's crazy.
It looked incredible. It
yeah,
looked so
I know.
good.
I'm probably
so
boring
happy
everyone
for
now,
you.
but thank you. No, it was it was a trip of a lifetime. So
Can we
it's-
talk Jetstar now?
I also did an ad for Jetstar.
I feel like there was just quickly. I feel like there was more to get to, but also
Yeah.
I'm aware of we're recording this before the
Yeah,
radio show.
yeah.
Oh,
And there'll
look, there's
be- there'll
so
be-
much
there'll-
more.
There'll be stuff to talk about in the
Now
radio
there,
show.
and there's
Well,
an
yeah, 'cause
exciting
we-
there's
are
an
we-
exciting part I can
Yeah, the Ryan Reynolds stuff.
yeah
we're
there's
going
a
to be
bit of
talking
Ryan
about on the
Reynolds
show.
there's a bit of Ryan Reynolds there.
Yeah.
Can I ask about Blake now or in
Blake
the show?
Lively Blake Lively was there, yeah, and
What was
Rob
she wearing? What
McElhenney.
was she doing? What was? Tell me everything.
Well, there's obviously a little bit of controversy around Blake at the moment. She's not everyone's favourite
she's
person.
perfect in everything she does.
Well, yeah, I'm not actually around the law of it, but I know it's
Yeah, you're either for or you're against her.
yeah, there's some bullying scandal or something, I
Yeah.
believe. But she was there, she was with the people, and Ryan Reynolds was working. I mean, they had the Disney Plus cameras on, like he was. It's like clearly the finale of the documentary for this next season of the.
Right.
But he, I don't know, seemed like a lovely guy. Definitely a man of the people, or at least he's very good at doing the. He was working hard. Like
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah.
Everyone obviously wants a piece if you're Ryan Reynolds and you're just
What
like
was she
walking around.
doing?
Same sort of deal. Oh, he was more front and center.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she was there.
What about Rob? Is he getting?
Rob McElhenney? He was very lovely,
Yeah.
very lovely guy actually. But it's, you got to.
Have you even seen It's Always Sunny?
Oh, I haven't seen it all, but I have seen episodes, and I
Yeah,
know
right.
he's famous from that. So I think it was his idea originally to invest in the club. So if you haven't seen the show, basically Wrexham, blue collar, hard working town, a lot of honest people down on their luck. So the race course, that ground, it's small, but it is actually the oldest football ground in the world. Like
Oh, wow.
So they're a really, really, really old club, and they've just been shit for ages. And
Yeah.
basically they put this Hollywood money in, which is nothing money compared to, I mean, Ryan Reynolds would obviously be doing pretty well for himself, but it's nothing compared to like the Saudi conglomerates and the different, like the big money that own like some of the big teams like Man City and Newcastle and that sort of thing. But they bought it for £2 million, like say 4 million Australian, and now it's worth like 3-4 years later,
But how
it's
have they
worth
become good?
315 million. Well, obviously they did it right, so they had the show and they've sort of just built up the right players. So there was a couple of players that dropped down, not from the Premier League, but from like the Championship, say, which was like 2 leagues above. They paid them good money to come back down and help this team go up. So it's not like there's any like superstars, but the show, like people have got around. So when I was at Wrexham, there was people like, hey, like, where are you from? Australia, cool. Like, we're big Wrexham FC fans. And I was like, how long have you been a fan for? Oh, since the docu-series came out. Like, so there's people all around the world that were like, big fans of this
But
club now.
because of Ryan, basically.
Yeah,
as
because
well.
there is a Disney Plus show that sort of like documents all of that, and they've just sort of have lots of stories around the club of people who've been fans. But it's like you got to imagine for these guys, they were like in the 5th tier, and then all of a sudden, one of the biggest stars in the world like buys their club,
Wouldn't the OG
and they just
fans
build it up.
hate that though? Wouldn't they be like, no,
No,
this is
because
our
then their
club.
teams
They've gone
propelled
promoted
into
3 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Rob, the other guy, not Ryan. Obviously, arguably Ryan is much bigger, but Rob, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, great show if you haven't seen it. But because he's also a co-writer on it, he around season 3, I think it's around season 3, just gets really fat because he just thought it would be funny if his character got really fat, and so they wrote it into the show. So he's just a big
chicken
fat guy.
or the egg.
Well, he's the kicker. He's the kicker. People started, I think, accusing him of saying, you just gotten fat, you didn't do it, because he came out and said, no, I've done it because I thought it would be funny. To prove them wrong, season 4 comes out jacked, like super jacked. He just gets really muscly, and then they write that into the show.
He's very muscly. Like,
Yeah,
he's short though, he's tiny.
Yeah,
but
so there's a period where he's like quite a normal-looking dude, I'd
Yeah.
say almost on the skinnier side, then gets really fat,
Yeah.
and then gets jacked.
But I also didn't know, for example, like, I mean, we thought as much, but we did not know they were going to be there.
when
I was doing the stuff, and it was like I was interviewing this man dressed as a clown.
Can we talk about the moment that you put on your Instagram, or does that spoil the radio stuff?
Yeah, I heard some of the speculation.
Yep.
Obviously Ben's far closer on the money
Yeah.
on that one.
Aw.
Because Liam's filming him, and then he mimes to Liam like, I see you, but
Yeah.
you can't hear it, but he says, I see you, like points at Liam.
Yeah.
Belle was saying that she thought like, I see you, you're that guy from
you're the
TikTok.
Borat guy.
Wouldn't have thought so.
Which, he possibly could be, but then I was saying, I think it's more like, he didn't want, because he's a good guy, he didn't want
Yeah.
a nice guy, he didn't want
He was
Liam
very nice.
to think like, I don't see, he's like, I see
Yeah.
you, mate, I'll get
And
you
I don't
soon."
want to get into it too much because it might spoil the on-air bit. Like I'm
Yeah.
sort of saving the magic for the radio show, which you can hear in the other podcast. But he also didn't look real at all.
I thought that from
In
the
fact-
story. He looks like he has makeup on, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
I think he's got a lot of makeup on.
Yeah.
Probably because he's doing the show as well, I suppose. So it's like
Yeah.
news presenters wear.
Yeah.
But he, just didn't look real.
He
in
looks
fact,
like a
I sent a
statue.
photo to like my little family group chat, and Mum just assumed it was like a wax figure. Like didn't actually think it was like a real.
Yeah.
I was like, no,
totally
but yeah,
agree.
he sort of had that look of just like
Maybe he wasn't real.
maybe it was
Cyborg.
double.
I just
body
want more
double.
details on Blake. But, yeah, no, okay. Well, we won't talk about Jetstar just now.
We can if you want. So I moved past Jetstar, but I loved that ad, by the way. The hair
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Very
Yes,
cute.
I've done an ad as a night for Jetstar, which so my head is spinning because we did our road trip. It's like think back like 3 weeks ago, we did our road trip to Adelaide for Gather Round with some listeners who won, and we went to the game Thursday, and I was on a heater. I was having a great time back in the home city, enjoying the footy. The sun was out, and then I went away with Belle. We did a trip with our good friends at SATC, South Australian Tourism Commission,
It's funny that you
we
say
did a hot
went
air
away
balloon.
with.
which I do also have a story about, which I want to get to at some point, probably not today. Then from that, I went away with some friends for a few days, which was large. Then I drove home on the Monday. So it was like 9 hours. When you've got a dog, you've got to do lots of stops. So I drove back Adelaide back to Melbourne. woke up at 3 a.m. on Tuesday to drive out to Cryle Castle. To be fair, I wasn't driving, so that was pretty easy. But which is, but Ben, you've been with your pregnant wife
Yes.
before, which is like in Ballarat, because we had to film before the school kids got there at like 10 or whatever it was.
To be honest, it's on the drive home from Adelaide. You should have just.
Well,
Yeah.
they did offer. They said you can stay at the castle the night, but I had the Toby. I had the Toby, and I was like, I also don't want to do that. But anyway, so then, so it was that shoot was like this is like 6-hour shoot, right? I had to go to like a forest and fight this LARPing guy, who was taking it very seriously. And at one point, someone had to intervene and say, "You can't push him like that."
Oh, God.
Oh, I'd
Dude,
love
he-
it behind the scenes.
Oh, I
of
got to
this
show you some
ad.
details.
I just
Oh
know.
my
I just without
God.
seeing it, I know the guy you're talking about. Like, I
Dude.
can just envision him taking it too
He was
seriously.
nice, but
'Cause he was like,
dude,
"This is my thing. I'm going to show
yeah,
him."
and
how
he was
to
like
do it."
battering me. I was like, "Dude, we're
Yeah.
having a pretend fight
Yeah.
here," and dude, it was like I was like, "Whoa!" I got bum rushed.
What's the connection?
So at an event which I will be hosting in a month's time, there is 500 people are LARPing for $50,000 worth of flights for Jetstar, but it harkens back to medieval times where being in the oldie times when you were
Right.
21, it's you could be a knight. Is sort of so. There's a loose
Sorry,
link
you
there.
lost me.
I think what's happened. I think what's happened is someone in Jetstar who loves LARPing has finally gone. Oh my
No,
god!
it's
I
Knights
can
of
get
the
LARPing
Skies.
into the.
It's well, no. To be fair, I think it's actually like a pretty funny thing. I was like, oh, I actually like that. So
That's so cute.
So people dress up as like knights and stuff to enter the
Is it at
competition, and you
Cryle?
go. No, it's not at Cryle. I think it's at. I'll have. I don't know. It was at a spot, but it's at a big park somewhere
in Melbourne.
in Melbourne.
Yeah,
It'll be in Melbourne. But yeah, no, I think I was telling you guys this, but like because I was wearing actual armor, like chainmail armor, which is heavy as F.
Yeah.
And you get like I got soot like all over me from that because it's all like sort of greasy and heavy, and I was like running around all day, and the armor cut because I was wearing like proper armor, and it cut my leg, and so when I came back from the car, I had this 6-hour shoot, drove back from Ballarat, got home, had a shower, packed my bag, went to the airport, and flew out to the UK, and then I got back 1 a.m. this morning, and now I'm here. So
my
all those
gosh.
things are all crammed together, but when I was at the airport, I looked down, I was wearing white socks, and I was like, oh man, because from that small cut I had before, it was just like, it was only tiny, but it was just like, you just get bleeders every
Yeah.
now and then. And my sock was like covered in red blood on one
Can
side.
you imagine the actual knights wearing that armor and how many injuries they would have gotten from their own armor and
it's
themselves? Like
unfathomable,
that's
yeah.
A day
wild.
doesn't go past, Bill, where I don't give a minute's silence to the knights.
It's true. A lot of good knights lost their lives.
I find it such a shame that those knights went through what they went through.
I know that the whole
See,
what
this is the
it?
stuff that I'm
The
talking about.
Roman
It's when I was
Empire.
listening to the podcast.
I know the Roman Empire is like the man's thing they always
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about.
yeah.
I genuinely
Yours is bleeding knights.
I always think about knights.
Hmm.
I always
You should
think
come to
about,
the laughing event.
I would love
Jetstar
I
Knights
would
of the
love
Skies.
that, but
Also, if you're a single lady looking for a partner, I'd say the LARPing event would be a great place to go.
don't hate on them. You're a gamer yourself. You're not any better.
Gaming is not the same as LARPing, Bill.
You have a game chair. If you have a game chair and like computer set up for gaming, that's the same.
Don't have a
same
game
thing.
chair anymore. Gave it to my nephew.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my
He's
god.
too childish.
Only thing I bought my holiday, my nephew a little Liverpool shirt.
Nice.
Cute.
Yeah. Hopefully, when he gets too big for it, they'll give it back. If I have a kid someday, I'll need that back.
It's on loan.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. No. There's obviously you've just had a whirlwind of a few weeks.
Been
which is
a
so
bit of a
good.
whirlwind, and yeah, lots of bits and bobs. Like just from all those things, there's tons of little tidbits that I
Yeah.
but as is often tradition, you're like, oh, there's so much to say, and then by like 2-3 days in, I'm like, I can't talk about my holiday anymore because everyone's like,
Yeah.
shut up. We
I
get
reckon there is lots to get to in terms
Yep.
of just like general business plus Liam business, but we can wrap it up here. What I would say though is just for an update on the podcast for the podcast listeners, we were saying today, and this is an evolving idea, but we were saying with the podcast, obviously there's that whole music rights issue. So we're going to push on with doing things how we do them. But what we've said, though, as a team, it's more of a conscious effort. It's more, nothing's going to change. But I think traditionally we've always gone, there's the podcast, which is the radio show Cut Up. And then secondary to that, there is this, the Off Air podcast, which, evolved naturally to become this. And we love doing it. But I think now it's going to slightly shift the dynamic. So the Off Air podcast, we're going to start to treat that like it's the primary podcast because this is like the real thing. We come in here, we talk for half an hour, 20 minutes in this case. And then the secondary podcast is just the radio show Cut Up with none of the music in it.
Yeah, but you will be getting more new content, whether it's topical or personal, in this off-air podcast.
Yeah, we just don't want the off-air podcast to feel secondary to the radio show
Yeah, they're
podcast.
equal now.
They're well, I'd say it's superior because for me, the radio show podcast, the number one primary is the radio show. That's what we do. Secondary is the off-air podcast.
This
is this, and we love this, and we're going to put, I think, more effort into this, try and get some original intros into this, and then what do you say for secondary? Third
tier, I don't know.
Third tier would be the radio show cut-up podcast. So if you want that, that is there, but this would be the one I'd come to first.
And we'll still be talking about the Pod Squad and yeah.
Can I give you one more holiday tidbit?
Yep.
Sure.
Because I
want so much
we've
from your
talked
holiday,
about how how crazy this thing is, and that the fact that all those games lined up, all those results and everything, and I was like, literally, the day before I flew out, I started crying a little bit at breakfast because I was just like, how's this happened?
Oh my God, bless.
But that's not the tidbit.
So cute.
Lame.
Real men cry, mate. And so we're driving from Liverpool to Manchester Airport, because that's where we flew out from, pulled over at Greg's, which is, it's iconic over there. It's like, it's kind of like, I suppose our Bunnings snag is like Greg's. It's like, it's just like a chain bakery, and they have like sausage rolls, and they're really good.
Like Billy's.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's like, they're literally on every single corner. Like most of the UK is Greg's and like betting shops. There's like, it's like Betfred or whatever. It's just a shop where people go in to gamble. And so pulled over in Warrington on the side of the road, like at a petrol station, and I get my Greg's steak and bake, and I bump into the lead singer of Kasabian in the car park.
Oh, whoa.
Get
And I'm
out!
like, dude, what? Like, have I died? Was I hit by
Hang
a
on,
car?
is this before the game or after?
No, this
on
was
your
like
way
literally
home?
just the within the last hour of being there. I was just like,
Did you have a chat?
Yeah, what'd you do?
yeah, just had a quick chat. Yeah.
Did he remember you from your night out together at the strippers?
I didn't get into that. But yeah.
No, because you knew you would have missed your flight because you would have been going to the Rippers.
What?
He went,
Yeah,
what?
we probably
Sue
would've gone,
went, Yeah, let's go, man.
Let's ditch Greg's and go to the
Oh,
strip
so
club.
hang on. Did you have a chat though? Did you say?
It wasn't a chat at all. It was
You
just
just
like
said, hey.
I was like with the group, and I was like, hey.
Oh.
Yeah, that was about
Quick
it. Like,
question, I know we're going
say,
over.
I would say interaction, not chat. in
Okay.
fact.
That Arsenal Tears video, is that just
Yeah.
like everywhere now?
Skits. So yeah, I did that was like,
It is shot beautifully. I will say that.
thank you.
Camera work is
That was just on my phone. But
Yeah, I can't relate.
So at the end of the game, if you have not seen the video, so Arsenal finished second, and I had a drink bottle, and I had to do a couple of videos for the thing, and I was like, I don't actually really know what I'm going to do, but I before I left the hotel, I wrote, as I was leaving, I just got some paper and wrote Arsenal Tears, and I had that in my pocket, and then like at the end, I found it was actually annoying because all the lines were just insane, so I had to find a drink bottle on the floor.
Arsenal second? Is that why?
Arsenal finished second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they haven't won anything for a long time. Anyway, so then I like had the thing Arsenal Tears and like just like got amongst it, and the fans like ooh,
Such a
as
good
I was
video.
drinking it, and it's sort of just been like it's been posted on like Rivals Banter and Sports Bible and all these different like news articles and stuff, and people like the hate comments are insane. Like there was one thing, there was like utter state of this, what a nonce, hard drive needs to be checked. Literally calling me a pedophile because of, and that was like on a page, that guy's jokes, which I actually follow because it's normally quite funny. But I was like, wow, and people and the messages I've been getting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Just
just
attacking.
but it's just banter. Like,
Right.
and I get it. Like, I'm like, I would expect that reaction if I'm steering. Like,
I
I'm
liked
being
the one that someone
I'm
was like,
staring
must
people
be
like-
American. Everyone's like, nah, he's Aussie, he's Aussie.
Dude,
That was
the amount of people that are like messaging me abuse, it's insane. I've had
Aw.
hundreds of no, I don't care.
okay.
One people just like, you yank C, and I'm like, and I'll reply something like, I'm actually Australian, but I live in your head, and then
Oh.
and like
just copy paste.
literally,
Yeah.
dude. But so many people just assume I'm American. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
Weird.
But oh man,
Wow. Well, I did
You
get
gotta
a
stir
message.
it up.
I got a message during the show, like last night on Monday, from my little brother. He just randomly texted me and he said, "I'm on the train, coming home from work," and the guy next to me, he looked over at his phone and he was just scrolling on your Instagram.
oh
And
nice.
So my brother texted me being like, "This dude next to me on the train's looking at Liam's Insta." I was like, "That's cute."
He's a Liverpool fan, your brother.
He is. Everyone around
And
me
Christian.
is Liverpool. Yeah, it's whole bloody. And then
Dude.
I'm getting messages from them being like, "Why is Liam doing that?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know."
All right, see ya.
See you guys.
Bye.
And that's it.
Liked that podcast? There's heaps more to listen to if you just scroll back or download the Nova Player app.
Ben, Liam, and Bell.